Okay, so for me, one of the pieces of tech that I use the most on a daily basis are my wireless noise canceling earbuds. So I'm always on the lookout for the best possible pair, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. Now for me, a great pair of earbuds has to not only sound great, but also fit into my life as well. And right now there are 3 earbuds that kind of stand out to me as fitting those criteria the best. And those are the AirPods Pro 2, the Bose Quiet Comfort Earbuds 2, and the newest of the bunch, the Sony WF-1000X M5s. And if you're like me, you might be having a tough time deciding which one might be the best one for you. So in this video, I'm going to be comparing them against each other, and hopefully by the end, you'll have a better idea of which one might fit your needs the best. And because we are comparing 3 different products against each other, I'm not going to go too in depth on any one of these in terms of all their specs and features and all that, because if you really want to know that, you can just look at their website. The information is all there. In this video, I'm going to be focusing on all the differences between them and why you might want to pick up one over the other. So here we go. So like I said, it's really important to me that if I pick up a new pair of earbuds, they have to fit into my life rather than me having to change my life to fit around the earbuds. And one of the main things that I look at is the portability of the case, because if it's too big and bulky, I'm just not going to want to go through the trouble of carrying it around with me. And in this area, the Sony and the AirPods are fantastic. They're both very small and portable, and you can slip them into pretty much any pocket without you even noticing that they're there. Overall though, I think I do prefer the AirPods case a little bit more just because it's a little bit less thick, and when you're putting it in a pocket, I think that dimension matters the most, and it has a glossy finish as well, which allows you to slide it in and out of the pocket a lot more smoothly. The Bose, on the other hand, are just really big and bulky, and it's to the point that I am pretty reluctant to carry them around with me. Also, quality-wise of the case, the AirPods do seem to be a little bit nicer than the other two. Like, you get this metal hinge on here that makes the opening and closing a lot more satisfying, and the plastic that they use is also a lot denser and nicer feeling than the other two. So if you're someone like me who likes to just open and close the case all the time because it just feels nice, this one is definitely gonna be the best for that. The AirPods also have a built-in lanyard loop on here, so if that's how you like to carry your earbuds around, then you don't have to buy a separate bulkier case to put on here to have that functionality. Next up, in terms of battery life, I just want to say that I haven't had an issue with any of these earbuds in terms of how long they last. Usually my ears get tired before they do, so that's good. But if you really do care about that, then the Sony are the best with 8 hours of battery life. The Bose are in second place with 6 hours, and the AirPods are in last with 4.5 hours. The only time I really see this being a problem is maybe on long flights, but even then you can pop any one of these back into their case for like 5 to 10 minutes and get a pretty good extra chunk of playtime on them. So overall, unless you have a specific use case that you really need to have your earbuds in for a really long time, I just wouldn't even consider battery life to be a deciding factor between any of these. One thing I did want to mention though is that the Bose are the only one out of the 3 that do not support wireless charging. So if you're someone like me who has them scattered all around your house and really loves the convenience of wireless charging, then these aren't going to be able to do that. Okay, comfort-wise, I would rank them in this order: AirPods, Bose, then Sony. I just find that the AirPods fit into my ears the best, and I think it's because the actual part that goes into your ear, like not including the stem, is a lot smaller than the other two. The Bose and the Sony I wouldn't say are uncomfortable by any means, but the reason I put the Sony in last place was because of the foam ear tips. So you're basically supposed to pinch them and then put them in your ears to let them expand and fill all the negative space in your ears, which is supposedly supposed to give you a more secure fit and a better seal, but personally I'm just not a big fan. I found that whole expansion process put a lot of outward pressure on my ears and really made me feel them in my ears, if that makes sense. Also, if I start making strained faces, like if I'm lifting weights in the gym or something like that, I find that the ear tips don't really respond fast enough and the seal is just constantly breaking, which I found very jarring. I still wouldn't say that any of these are uncomfortable, but for me that's just kind of how they stacked up. Okay, so next, all these earbuds have some sort of way for you to control the media from the earbuds themselves. And the one I like the best by far has to be the Airpods. So on the stem, there's an indentation on both sides and you just have to pinch it to activate the controls. And you can even control the volume by swiping up or down on the stems. And overall, I just found that these were the easiest to use, most reliable, and hardest to accidentally activate. The other two have touchpads on the side of the earbuds that both work pretty well for the most part, but did have some issues for me. I just felt that especially if you were running or doing something with a lot of movement, it was hard to accurately press them, especially if you need to get those double or triple taps. But the biggest annoyance for me was the accidental activations. Every time I adjusted the earbuds, I ended up accidentally pausing my music, which I just found really annoying over time. Out of the two though, I think the Sonys were a lot worse just because the earbuds themselves are so small and there's pretty much nowhere to grab them other than the touchpad. Especially since when they're in your ear, the whole rest of the earbuds gets covered by your ear. The Bose, on the other hand, do have a bit of a stem, which gives you somewhere to grab other than the touchpads. Okay, so now getting into the juicy stuff, let's talk about the noise cancellation performance. And right off the bat, I just want to say that all three of these are great. These three are probably the top three performing noise canceling earbuds on the market, but putting them against each other, I do have to say that the Bose are definitely the best, followed by the Sony, with the Airpods coming in with the weakest performance. One note about the Sonys though, and this is another complaint about their foam ear tips, is just you really do need a good seal on them for you to get the optimal noise canceling performance. I found that I couldn't just stick them in my ears, I had to do the whole pinching them, putting them in, and then letting the foam expand for them to actually work. Once you do get a good seal though, the Sonys are pretty comparable to the Bose in performance, but the Bose are definitely still a little bit better. The Airpods were noticeably worse, but they also did give the least amount of that active noise cancellation pressure feeling, so if you're really sensitive to that, that might be something to take into account. And if you're a fan of transparency mode, then the Airpods are still the best in that area, just in terms of how natural everything sounds while you're using it. Now, sound quality wise, this was pretty difficult to rate just because everyone has their own preferences and these all have their own sound. I think the easiest thing to point out would be that the Airpods definitely have the weakest bass response out of these three, but apart from that, vocals sound very clear and it's just overall a pretty balanced sound signature that I think most people will find enjoyable. The Bose, on the other hand, definitely have the strongest bass response out of the three, and it's almost to the point though that it's a little bit boomy and out of control, and it muddies up the rest of the sound just a little bit. The mids are very pushed forward and prominent, so vocals do sound very clear, which I do appreciate, but the high end is just a little bit shrill, especially at higher volumes. So over time, it can get a little bit fatiguing to listen to. The Sonys, I think, sound the best. You get almost as much bass as you get with the Bose, but just with a much better controlled and less shrill high end that makes it a lot easier to listen to over longer periods of time. You still do get that V-shaped sound signature, but it's definitely not as bad as it used to be. Okay, and lastly, I think there's a couple of different factors that you should consider if you're looking at purchasing any one of these 3 earbuds. And I think the biggest one has to be the AirPods and the whole ecosystem effect. Like, if you have multiple Apple devices, the AirPods will be able to automatically switch between them without you having to pair it to every single one, which is just really convenient and honestly such a great feature. And that's also why, even though these don't sound the best or have the best battery life or any of that, I still do use them as my daily drivers. Because for someone like me who's really deep into the Apple ecosystem, like I have an iPhone, iPad, and a MacBook, that feature is just a game changer. If I wasn't so deep into the Apple ecosystem though, I would probably go with the Sonys just because they sound great and they offer a really good package as a whole. And most of the complaints that I had with the Sonys were really just about the ear tips and not the earbuds themselves. Like, I'm just really not a fan of the foam ear tips, but I'm sure you could find a third-party set of rubber ones if you really wanted to. Now, the Bose would be amazing, and I actually do really like them because I think they do sound great and that active noise cancellation performance is really out of this world. But for me, the size of their case is just way too big and I find it very annoying to carry around with me, so I don't. But yeah, that's how these 3 earbuds stacked up for me, and like I said at the beginning of the video, I know I didn't go over everything, but these are just the factors that I found made the biggest difference for me in my everyday usage of earbuds. Hope you guys found it helpful, and let me know in the comments which one you end up going with. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.